Hi, Uncle Roots here, or at least that's the business name for my part-time stump grinding thing I do, and it's what I put on YouTube. Real name's Bruce, but I've been asked a few times about measurements and materials for this plow that I made for my 252, and so that's what this is about. I had no formal plan. I kind of wung it as I put it together. I'll show you guys what I ordered, and I did have to go to Home Depot for $20 worth of angle iron or something in a pinch, and I'll try to tell you how I did what, and take a few measurements for you guys, because I had put my email in on a comment for a person or two previously, but I don't think they ever emailed me. I checked my junk, and all I got was some spam, so I took it down. But I'll make this video on the matter, and hopefully that helps somebody. I'll take one from up here so I can show you this, and then I'll take one from below so you can see how I did the structure. I will say ahead of time that the one thing I didn't have in mind when building this was pulling, and it affected it, right? It pushes just fine. It's more than adequate for that. Put it down. I had also made a bar that it turns out is essentially unnecessary to lock in here and here. I keep it in the truck in case I want to use it for whatever reason. And so it pushes just fine. With that bar on, when I pulled, it had bent some stuff once when I was, maybe just being rough with it anyways. So I try to avoid pulling with it, but it pushes just fine, and the weight of it, it doesn't need the bar that I made to keep it locked down, but I have a bar that fits right there that locks, and then it locks in the up position when I'm grinding. I do take, I'm missing one, these 4 pins out and take it off if I'm grinding on any kind of serious hill or anything like that, because I do think it makes it top heavy. But so let's start with materials list. I just printed the email, all right? And so I couldn't find some U-channel that was deep enough for this purpose here, just because I just slide this on and off the safety bar. Maybe you guys can, I couldn't. So what I did was I purchased some 1.5 by 4 inch. 1.5 had the perfect inside diameter to just slide over the bar by 4 inches, and I just, cut it down the middle and used one on each side, right? The 3/4 inch hole expanded steel is the grate on the top. And then I ordered several pieces of 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch angle iron, and then some square tubing too. And that was mainly for the support, the stuff to hold it up, and the bar to hold it down. And then some smaller pieces of angle iron that I did run back to Home Depot for in a pinch. That was like $20 more. I don't know if you can see it. This all told from Online Metals was only $170. Plus I bought some welding wire for my brother-in-law's welder, and I filled his tank of gas when he ran out the next year. So all told, still not a lot of money, right? And I forget how I did it, but the way I did it, having this piece of grate cut at this particular size costed me no extra money. There were other sizes. If I had went smaller or bigger or wider or whatever, it would have costed more. But buying it in this size, which I think is maybe the perfect size for our machine, it was the same. You could buy a piece of this or buy a cut piece for quite a bit more money. And so this, was 36 by 16 inches is what that was, okay? And you can see on the receipt, it may even say that that's how it was purchased. Then this was that 4-inch piece of, I'm just gonna bring you down so you can see the structure. Okay, I think that's, geez, it's not all in the frame. Well, we'll just know that's to the bottom of that, and we'll get the top. So from the bottom of this square tubing that I turned into U-channel to the inside two pieces of angle iron here is 24 inches. And I mean, that does not have to be exact. You could go a few inches shorter or even longer, but you just have something sticking out the back of it. But the 2 feet was perfect for that. And these, again, I had no formal plan. I was, you know, out here laying the stuff on the flat ground in the garage with a marker and just marking it and cutting it and then fitting it in between here. And so these, you know, are a touch over 16 inches a piece. They're both, you know, these are in parallel on the same angle. I did the same thing on the other side. Those ones must be at a little different angle than this one. That one's like 16.5 inches. I also welded these on here for middle ground support. I don't know if that was necessary for stress this way, but I was also using it as a secondary structure, whatever you would call it, because otherwise it was only held in the middle here, from here, you know, or from here, or from the outside, and I felt like it could push in or bend the outsides if I only did one or the other. And so, you know, these are, again, 2 feet. I just cut them at 2 feet, I guess, and same thing. Welded it up there. These are, that one's 18 inches. That one's 18 inches. And I went back and I cut the angle, you know, if you know how to weld, you know how to weld, so that it sat flat on this and I could get a good weld all the way around. When I bent this thing serious, I'll say serious, it was mostly this piece that I had to bend back, but it was tweaked and crack a single weld, you know, because everything butted up nice against each other. And, you know, I'm no pro welder, but I made sure they were good. I also, because I didn't want the only thing to be holding the grate from pushing was the safety bar itself, I went back to Home Depot and I got these thinner pieces of angle iron just as something across, and this I still had, and I just went across the bottom, so it's kind of held up here. It has some angle iron behind it, and it does have a piece behind here because I just didn't want it getting all kinds of pushed in, like I don't know if you can see it, like our trailers do down here when people, you know, previous owners before me just leave the cutting wheel and the teeth on it and stuff. And so I think that's most of it. Let me grab the camera and I'll show you the mount. What else? What am I forgetting? So this mount was just square tubing. You know, I just took some square tubing, knocked this out, drilled a hole in it, did the same thing here. Didn't think just here was going to be enough. So another reason I had added these smaller pieces from here to the other pieces I had just mentioned. And so this was just square tubing, and this is just square tubing, and I pinned them, and that's pretty much all of it. I don't know really how to better describe the dimensions or how I built it. Because, like I said, I kind of wung it. And so that's pretty much it. I don't know, you know, how to better describe how I built it, because I kind of laid it out and cut it and even welded it in a few different stages. First, you know, I had this grate, like I mentioned, that was already cut, which was nice. That would have been a lot of cuts because I cut this all with a die grinder with a cutting wheel on it. day of cutting. And then I built these. I cut all these and I 45'd each one of them, made sure they would all fit nice and tight. And then, you know, I had it the other way, face down on the ground. First time I welded these supports in, I made a mistake, right? These four, and I didn't grind mainly these welds off first, and this whole framework was sitting off the ground, and then these stuck out a little bit, and so when I went to put the grate on, I would have had a gap and it would have been bent, so I cut them all off, as I briefly described in another video, and ground everything flat, and then redid it so that this was the same height as that, and this would all sit flat. And did the same thing, of course, any welds that were in the way, I went back and ground them before I did these, or these, so that it all sat flat. Not that the grate hasn't gotten a slight wave to it, but if I didn't have these backings, it would have been much worse. And so first I built the frame, welded that together. Then I brought it back here to my house, and I had cut this support and these and the angles for them on the ends, and this piece for both sides, right? And then I think I went back to my brother-in-law's and welded those on. And then I did anything else that was left behind. And then last, very last, I did this and put any finishing touches. I don't remember the exact order anymore, but there was I made a series. It's probably not a YouTube series, but I made 5 shorts, not instructional videos, just my progress on this as I went. You can look back and watch those if you care to. But that's what I used and basically how I did it. I hope this is helpful to a few people that have asked me for measurements, and no one asked me for a blueprint, but how I did it, what did I use, the measurements. So that's, I mean, I hope that's a good enough job, right? I just cut it as I went. You can use this as a guide if you wish. One thing, like I said, to maybe improve upon is the pulling power, right? And so I think I have, it's not that the main support is so high, right? Because you got this too. I think, if anything, it was in my design of this mount, right? This is what went wonk on me. It pulled these smaller pieces of angle iron and bent them, and I had to bend them back. I had this thing ratchet strapped to the, not ratchet strapped, that didn't work, come along to the back of the machine to bend it back, and that worked, and everything lines up good now. But maybe if you made this piece stronger. The thing was, I just used small stuff here. Not that I would ever, you can't grind with this down, but I wanted it to clear anyways, just in case it ever fell or whatever, you know. So it all clears, but I kept it smaller here. I don't know if you went further down or used bigger angle iron. Maybe the pulling power would be a little stronger. I guess one thing to keep in mind if you're gonna attempt to replicate this. Other than that, I mean, this is a complete success for me. I don't have to hand heave nearly as many chips anymore. I just push them out of my way. Somebody else cleans them up, or it's such a small job. I just clean it up, and it ain't no thing. But time saver, back saver, that's for sure. And that's what I know about how I built it. I hope it helps.